What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Successor Tactics. This is where I take a look at one official Space Marine chapter per ramble that would make use of the standard Space Marine Codex and give you my thoughts and ideas on what I think would be a good combination of two Successor Tactics to properly represent them, based on their fluff and, of course, more specifically, their combat doctrine. I'm not going to go too in-depth on the chapter itself in any real regard, just going to cover the combat doctrine stuff to make the choices here from the Successor chapter tactics listed. So, with that said, I want to go over the Carcharodons Astra in this one, also known as the Space Sharks, and even in the Space Marine Codex referred to as the Space Sharks. I like calling them Carcharodons Astra, it just sounds cooler to me. But these guys are a cool chapter of Dark Renown. The Bedev War books were so good from Forge World. I wish they would reprint them and update the rulings of stuff for 8th edition just to have them be available for people to buy still. It did a good job of kind of retconning the old Space Shark concept and making them really cool as a force. They are Raven Guard Successor, and they have a Dark Renown, right? And they are known for carnage and butchery, but it's not Berserk Fury lost in the whirlwind of combat. They're still very competent what they do. Their butchery, their savagery is clinical, if that makes any sense. And they do it in utter silence. They always communicate over Vox radio, so that makes it extra creepy. So with that said, there are two ways to try and represent them. And it's up to you to really decide, ultimately, what you're going for in terms of your playstyle, as long as it meshes with the way the Carcharodons do war. Now, of course, there's more than two ways, but I'm going to give you what I mean by the two ways by going over it. So firstly, in the first set of the first combination, I think would include Fearsome Aspect. If we're trying to represent them being renowned and savage killers, and creepy because they don't issue any noise outside of internal Vox orders to each other over their network, so those being attacked don't even hear any cry of rage or anything. It's going to be very unsettling to see such carnage wrought without noise, without like a war cry or anything. So, Fearsome Aspect, basically you subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of enemy units when they are within 3 inches of any units from your army with this tactic. Representing fear, right? I think it fits very well for the Carcharodons, the Space Sharks, right? From there are two Successor chapter tactics that can represent close combat. There's Duelists and there's Whirlwind of Rage. And if you take one, you cannot take the other. So you can't combo them, is my point. Of the two, while Whirlwind of Rage sounds more like mindless fury berserkerness, it really doesn't have to be. And the aftermath of a Carcharodon's attack is described as savage butchery. Even if it's the Carcharodons are doing this with clinical kind of tactical precision, right, and deliberately causing as much violence and carnage as possible to demoralize the enemy, the way it's described does not convey the idea of duelists. So I would say Whirlwind of Rage. And when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model with this tactic in a turn in which that model's unit made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. So you have to have been charged yourself, or done a heroic intervention. Basically giving you the potential to have some extra hits, which isn't bad. I like it. I like that combination. It represents their fearsome aspect. However, their combat doctrine is a lot of hit and run, and it calls it out specifically in which they do probing attacks. So they rely more so on their infantry, although they are very capable with armored vehicles and the like. But they recon, and then they attack the enemy in complete overwhelming surprise. they have two responses to their attack. If the position is well defended, they withdraw, and they withdraw quickly, and then they kind of reevaluate the enemy strength and then launch another lightning assault somewhere else, probing the enemy. When one of these assaults succeed, they press the attack full force 100%. They commit absolutely fully, and they endeavor to do as much damage as possible as quickly as possible. They're there to let their full fury out against the enemy and just cause as much damage to the everything as possible. Now this is important because if you don't want fearsome aspect, if your playstyle fits better with the whole lightning assaulting concept, tactical withdrawal might be something to work to represent their probing attacks, to engage and then disengage rapidly and then re-engage again. So tactical withdrawal allows units with this tactic to charge in a turn in which they fell back. So if you combine that with Whirlwind of Rage, you can potentially combo kind of nicely with each other. It all depends on what you're trying to represent with the Carcharodons. They're kind of lightning, almost hit and run probing attack, withdraw, and then redeploy against method of combat. Doesn't need to be laid out for you via a tactic. Then again, neither does them being particularly fearsome and of dark renown. It all depends on what you feel is going to work better for you. I like either combination, however. I like the idea of tactical withdrawal and Whirlwind of Rage. I also like the idea of Whirlwind of Rage and fearsome aspect. Or you could do fearsome aspect and tactical withdrawal. I am sure you can make a case for other tactics within here, but given the limited capability we have, we only can choose two, and how specific each one is, and given that despite the fact that it's not just assaulting that the Carcharodons do, they also do point blank firepower, you could make a case for some other tactics in here. But I think just to represent that pure carnage, Whirlwind of Rage and fearsome aspect are a good choice, and then you can sub one out for tactical withdrawal, right? If you want to represent that lightning assault as well. So to sum it all up and continue repeating myself, I would either go fearsome aspect with Whirlwind of Rage or tactical withdrawal with Whirlwind of Rage, depending upon what you think fits better for your personal playstyle there. Of course, there are other ones to look at and choose yourself if you so desire, but I think that works very well. The Carcharodons, like I mentioned, though, are not mindless berserkers. They rely on a series of tactics that are simple yet reliable, and they press their attack, and what makes them maybe even all the more unsettling is they do it with full faculties of the mind. They're not mindless berserkers in combat. All the stuff they're doing to tear up the enemy is done fully well each battle, rather than knowing the carnage they're committing. So let that sink in. Anyways, that's it for the Carcharodons Astra for Successor tactics. Tactical Withdrawal and Whirlwind of Rage, or Fearsome Aspect and Whirlwind of Rage, I think are two really good combos. So share your thoughts, agree, disagree, and why. And until the next one, thanks very much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy these little rambles for Successor tactics. I was really pleased to hear that the Space Marine Codex was doing something like this, because I really like this concept of kind of, picking your own little flavor there and trying to represent stuff. It's just, for me, it's really cool, and I enjoy doing these videos. So hopefully you enjoy the video concept as well. And of course, share your opinions. You don't have to agree with me at all. If you have the Codex, play along and list your two Successor tactics and why. And until the next one, take it easy.